CeCe McDonald is a prison reform activist who was sentenced to 41 months in prison for manslaughter after a racist and transphobic attack against her turned deadly. After experiencing the inhumane treatment of prisoners firsthand, CeCe began speaking out against the criminal justice system and on behalf of racial justice. And we're so excited to have CeCe with us today. So help me give her a big welcome to Vermont.
Hey, y'all. Thank y'all so much. Thank you. I first want to thank the University of Vermont and the wonderful organizers for bringing me. So thank you, Benjamin. Thank you, Addie. Can we give them a round of applause? Thank y'all. I know that it probably took a lot of work to make all of this happen, so let's not take this for granted. If you have time to talk to people and to learn and to organize and to make new friends and family, this is the space and the time to do that. And I always encourage people when I'm at these spaces to be willing to step outside of your box, right? Get to know somebody, get to know what they're going through, what their life is about, so that you can learn how to be a better person, not just for them, but for yourself. So yes, I really didn't come here with any keynote, but I do want to say Free CeCe, if anybody knows about Free CeCe, the documentary, it finally just got released for human consumption. So yes, it's now available on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Amazon Prime, and we will be releasing it for DVD home sale with some extra bonus features. I'm sure most of those bonus features are of me smoking weed, so don't be alarmed. I'm just saying. But yes, I'm very excited that we are actually able to get it out to people so that they can learn about the struggles of Black trans women, and just kind of familiarizing themselves with issues that are kind of being pushed to the forefront now, especially with President Cheeto in office. I think a Cheeto is smarter than him, so I don't want to offend the Cheeto. So yeah, just with light of everything happening, you almost made me go get my fan out my bag. That's my shade fan. When I pop the fan, that means I'm throwing shade. But yeah, I really, in light of everything that has been happening, and President Cheeto pushing out this very violent rhetoric towards the identities of trans and nonconforming people, which is disgraceful. It's just disgusting, to say the least. And I've been using this time and opportunity to, one, tell people to please go out and vote. I'm not a person that usually advocates voting because, either way, it's all evil. But I think it's time that we pick the lesser of the evils, to at least help us maintain our dignity, maintain our identities, to be able to navigate through life just a little bit more easier, because it's always going to be hard. For me, being Black and trans, it's always going to be hard. There's never a point in my life where it's just a cakewalk. I don't even know what that means, but I hear it a lot. And so, yeah. But I would like to address some things. And one of them that I've been really calling out lately is the isms that kind of exceed within the LGBTQIA community. It's just really important that we as community really start taking a step back and start evaluating ourselves and kind of figuring out what type of people we are, because a lot of times we think we're good people and we're really shitty people. And so, I've been when I say encouraging people to learn about other people in these spaces, is really asking you to interrogate your privileges. It's really asking you to, what or how in my life am I privileged, right? I have to ask that to myself too, as a Black trans woman. I have to say, in which ways am I privileged, and how am I utilizing those privileges to bring about awareness to the issues that necessarily wouldn't reach the people that I would talk to. So I'm always talking to Black and brown trans women about issues that they necessarily wouldn't, look to or to advocate for, because we have been taught that each of our, singular struggles are either lesser or more important than the other. And so I just really wanted it to be important that we all understand that, playing the oppression Olympics isn't gonna actually get us anywhere. There's no foundation in one person saying that their struggle is more important than the next, because it takes away from actually movement building and liberation movement fronts. So it's time for us to actually scale back and stop saying like, yo, my life is hard, or yo, what am I going through, and not really put into perspective how all of us have been fucked over. Literally, like there's nothing that's happening right now that's not gonna affect the other person, even if it's not you directly. If it isn't something that you are directly affected by, it will in the long run affect you. So let's just keep that in our minds, right? People think that if you're white, that deportation doesn't matter to you, because it's something that you aren't necessarily affected by, right? Why is it so quiet? It's something that, white people wouldn't necessarily think that they are affected by, and that takes away from white people being able to find some type of empathy or connection to people who are going through something that's very terrible and in some ways dangerous to people's well-being and to the well-beings of their family. And so when we see this rhetoric, right, when we see all of this nonsense that President Cheeto has been spitting out, right, that, Latinx people are dangerous, that Latinx people are rapers, that Latinx people are, stealing our jobs, and like, how are they stealing our jobs and they don't even exist? How can you steal something that isn't there? That's crazy to me. And like the fear-mongering tactics that white people feed into, right? Like they absorb that in, and they're like, you know what, President Cheeto, you're right. You're right. The Mexicans are taking our jobs. And it's like, no, they actually aren't. If anything, people of color have built this country for white people to learn, lavishly live in, and to take the spoils of what people of color have worked so hard for, just for people to be like, okay, now we're done with you. We don't care what you go through, how you doing it, when you do it, bye. You know what I'm saying? And that's unfair to so many people who have come here looking for refuge, who have come here looking for safe haven, who have come here looking for a better life for them and their families, right? And this isn't something that's new. This is something that has been happening for centuries, to feed into the fears of other people so that you can get ahead in life, or so that people can respect you or see you in a different way. And that's just really fucked up. That people, so many loving and caring people, are being affected in such a nasty, terrible way. And we already know white, cis, straight men are the worst people in the world. Like, those are the people that need to be deported. Ship them back. I don't know where. I don't know. Y'all pick a place. We'll just send them there. But it's very important that we understand this, right? That, Donald Trump isn't out here, saying the names of, the white men who have terrorized the country for the last a million years. No, let me stop playing. But in light of, in retrospective of like the last 10 years, right? Like, we have seen all of these devastating tragedies that have happened, right? And majority of them have been committed by white men. And so there's like a lack of bringing that to the forefront. It's very easy for somebody to understand why a person of color would be dangerous or scary. But when it comes to, white men and white supremacy in general, it's something that's, you can't touch it or talk about it without somebody really feeling offensive. So if anybody in this room is feeling offensive about me talking about white cis nasty men or white supremacy, there's an exit right there, there's an exit right there, and I will enjoy to continue, right? I gotta make sure I get that out, just so y'all know. Because sometimes it get really real with me, you know what I'm saying? It get real. But, scaling back to what I was saying, the isms that live within the LGBTQIA community, right? Like, it's really important that we as community call out shit when we see it, right? I tell people all the time, like, you cannot call yourself an ally, which I hate this term. I choose to use this term, operating in solidarity, right? I feel like when you give somebody the title ally, they just take it a little bit too far, right? Like they don't know what realm, the ally zone is, so they're everywhere. But I feel like when you give a person the title ally, they think that in some ways it can be, but being helpful or being an ally looks very differently than what you think it should, right? A lot of people take on their own identity of what an ally is. So you making a poster about, trans resistance or queer resistance, that's cute. That's cute, nice art projects. But it has to go deeper than a poster, right? Now, operating in solidarity looks like you as a white ally calling out your racist white parents and your racist grandparents, right? I have to do that when my mom was hella transphobic. Like, I had to sit, like, come on, lady, let's come sit, let's talk, right? Because we can't ourselves be like out here trying to check people and be like, that was wrong. And then you go home and then you got people misgendering people. You got people, doing very terrible things. I don't want to go down the list. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. I ain't got to go through all of them. But in the back of your head, y'all like, yeah, I know a couple of people. Yeah. Right? And so, a lot of times we're, in these public spaces, we're in these spaces with other people, and it's our job to call people out and call people in when it's necessary. But for a lot of us, we don't keep that same energy. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us don't keep that same energy when we leave these spaces, right? So we have a lot of friends, some of the friends that we probably have grown up with over time, right? That probably even just tolerated you transitioning or something, right? They just tolerated it. They was like, oh, well, this is my friend. I know them for 10 years, But they're hella transphobic, right? Hella, but that's your friend. You love them. Well, guess what? Cut them off. You got to drop them. Cut them like an ex, you know what I'm saying? If you ain't back with your ex, don't get back with your best, you know what I'm saying? You got to let them go and move on with your life, because that's what you call toxicity. That will prevent you from even growing and understanding yourself as an individual, right? Because a lot of the times, and I know this very well, after I went through this whole experience and this whole journey of being incarcerated and dealing with white supremacy on a different level and dealing with transphobia on a different level, I had to, take some steps back and reevaluate how I saw myself and how I see other people in my community and in my world in general, in this world. And it really made me want to restructure my life in a different way. Smoke more weed and that was key because, people are hella stressful. I tell people all the time, I'm probably the most antisocial person you will meet. I like people, but I don't. That's me in a nutshell. I love people, but I just hate to believe that we're like 2 months from 2019, which is crazy. And the even more crazier part about that is we're going into 2019 with the same values of 1820. You know what I'm saying? It's just really scary that, people, all of us, you know what I'm saying, can't leave our houses without us feeling safe. There isn't a point, like at one point in time, it was just like, oh, I'm black, let me make sure that I don't get shot by the police. Now it's just like, I can go to the mall, I can go to the airport, I can go anywhere without somebody using President Cheeto as a kind of a crutch to really show their true colors, right? I've seen it a lot of times. If it hasn't been me, it has been other people. Or if we just seen all of the many random crazy white women calling the police for any random reason, and just kind of pushing this hatred and this fear-mongering out into society that leaves us feeling like there is no hope, that there is no way out of this. And like I said, one of those ways is by voting. And like I'm not the biggest advocate of voting. I really don't even care for politics. Like if we really wanted to change some shit, we all would leave this room, go gather some more people, go get some more people, and just be like, all of this shit gotta go. You know what I'm saying? All of it. Let's start over. But we're not there yet. It is not the years of the Hunger Games, and so we haven't garnered that type of energy yet. But we can. And like I'm a big geek. I'm always about like X-Men and Marvel comics and like Star Trek and all of those sci-fi shows. They give you what's happening in the world, but on a geeky level. So if you can understand what's happening in that or in those scenarios, just apply it to the real world, because I'm starting to think the world that we're living in is a sci-fi movie. Anybody watch The Handmaid's Tale? Like, that's where we're heading. So be aware. If you don't have a red cloak, be aware, because it's getting real. It's going to get real. And so I think that people who have kind of like internalized or externalized now at this point their views about people of color, about the LGBTQIA plus community, about immigrants, about everybody that doesn't fit like the white cis classist, sexist scale. If you don't fit like that peg, you're seen as other. And unfortunately, for some of you white folks, you're starting to fit that bill too. So y'all better start figuring out what y'all want to do. Y'all got to pick a side. Nicki Minaj said it best. Pick a side. Y'all got to pick a side. Y'all need to figure out where y'all want to be. And like for I love speaking directly to white folks. Let me take off my jacket. I done got hot just even thinking about it. I'm always, and when I go to these spaces, I make time to talk to my people. But you see, white people, I love y'all to a degree. And the degree is that a lot of y'all don't use or utilize the most privilege that you have, which is your whiteness. Like, I love y'all, but stop trying to fit into people's struggles. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to be an ally. It's okay to want to help people. But again, like, oppression Olympics ain't gonna get us nowhere, right? And so I see a lot of white people complaining, but I don't see a lot of white people in action. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to start seeing more white people utilizing their privileges to center the voices of the most marginalized, to uplift the voices of the people who are constantly being attacked on a day-to-day basis. When I talk to my white trans friends, I be like, girl, don't come to me talking about no trans stuff, because see, we're both trans. But you want to know what I got that you don't? It's called blackness. You know what I'm saying? And so when we leave these spaces, I want you to understand that you're probably going to go somewhere where somebody isn't going to call the police on you just for walking down the block. Somebody isn't going to think of you as being a suspicious person in the neighborhood. Somebody isn't going to look at you all sideways and feel safe, or, the microaggressions come out. You ain't going to see somebody clutching their pearls or, scooting their purse to their side and holding it real tight. You know what I'm saying? And so when you see stuff like that, a lot of times you don't know what it is because you're so familiar with it. You see it all the time. You see it with your coworkers. You see it with your, with your classmates, with your whoever whoever you know, you're so familiar with it that you don't understand that it's a microaggression, or a microaggression is a nice way to say a subtle form of racism. And so, like, if you see that, you know what I'm saying, to call it out. Let's not ignore the facts, because this is going to be a big read. So let's not ignore the fact that white women voted Trump into office. So, don't look, y'all. It's okay to clap. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. That means I'm doing my job. Because a lot of y'all like, wait, I know you ain't talking about me. Yes, I am. I'm talking about you. Even if you didn't vote for him directly, and that's why I keep telling people, just because it's not you directly, you know about 10 other white women that I'm sure one of them voted for Trump. And so if you're surrounding yourself with people like that, if you're surrounded with people who just thought, oh, Trump in office would be cool and fun, it would be fun. This isn't fun. This isn't fun for a lot of people. And now a lot of people are affected by it, right? And now a lot of white people are affected by it, so now they scared too, right? You see, he's trying to take people's pensions and Social Security. He's trying to take people's health care, Medicaid. Like, white people are nervous, you know what I'm saying? They like, oh, wait, this ain't what I voted for. I thought you was just only going to attack those people, you know what I'm saying? But see, the world is changing and it's shifting, right? We see that a lot of people are starting to cross these lines, right? I call that intersectionality. What? Who would have thought, right? But yes, like, we are starting to see that these lines, these invisible lines that very much so do exist, are starting to cross. We're starting to see the ways in which we are similar and the ways that we do navigate the world in similar ways. It just takes for somebody really shitty in office to make us understand that and to see that, right? I know a lot of white people now who are like really sad that some of their family members are getting deported. Oh, it hurts, doesn't it? It hurts, right? I mean, not to rub it in their faces, but you know, I'm just saying, when we see the stories of people getting deported, they're usually people of color. 9 times out of 10, that person is Latinx, right? And so that we constantly keep seeing that storyline, right? With the caravan, right? He's talking about if the people in the caravan throw rocks, that the U.S. Army is allowed to shoot and kill them, which is bananas, right? That's just genocide. That's literally what that is. Can you imagine, you know? And what's so crazy is, like, when we see this happening in other parts of the country, we call it barbaric. We call it insane, right? But when a white man pushes this rhetoric, it's like, oh, that is so brave. I love America. This is so America. I love it, right? And it's disgusting. It's really scary to think about then, what does that mean for me? Right? If I throw a rock somewhere, y'all gonna shoot me? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I go against your values, you're gonna kill me? Well, I mean, obviously, it's been happening to so many black and brown people, so it shouldn't, that question was kind of rhetorical. I just thought y'all would get that. But it's very important that we do see the ways in which a lot of these politics are hypocritical, how they leave a whole large portion of like who these people are, again, with the fear-mongering tactics that lead people to believe this stuff is true. And it's really crazy because it's like, you can believe that a person coming from another country is a killer or a rapist or whoever, whatever, and you're not concerned with the very many people that's in your country, probably living in your house, that's a killer or a rapist or a drug dealer. No. Okay. I know I get most of my drugs from white kids, so I'm just saying. But yes, I don't know how much time I got, because I know I'm supposed to leave some space open for Q&As. I know it's coming up on 30 minutes I've been up here. But I do want to say, before we get to that, to the Q&A, that I do appreciate my people. Like I said, going through this journey, I have come to grow and learn. But I also come to these spaces so that I can connect with people, so that I can have so many different stories, right? I don't want to ever compare one person I met to another person, because we're all individual, and that's what's wrong with this society. Like, they see a category and they just automatically place you in that, right? And so that can be frustrating, right? Because as a black person, I'm always criticized by other black people. As a trans person, I'm always criticized by other trans people. And those are kind of like the isms I was talking about within our own communities, right? I know for a lot of y'all white people in this room, which I will commend you, because I know for a lot of y'all, it's fearful to, like, confront, right? Like, that's something that scares a lot of people. And I know for a lot of white people, like, it's hard to confront racism. It's hard to confront those things. Now, I've seen white people who have called that bullshit right on the spot, and I'd be like, yes, bitch, come on, let's go smoke a blunt. I'm gonna buy you lunch. You did that when you did it, you know what I'm saying? But for a lot of people, it's something scary, because it makes you have to look at yourself. It makes you have to say, damn, is that the type of person I am? Or why didn't I stop something? Or why didn't I say anything, right? Because the society that we're living in is literally forcing majority of the people to one side and the rest of the people to the other. And, like, white people are, like, literally on this in the middle. Y'all like the bipartisan people. Y'all like the people, the swing voters. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are the people that, when I said pick a side, I meant, like, you literally have to pick a side. Like, family and friends and that, like, sometimes we lose that in the momentum of liberation, right? Because those people can also sometimes be pulling you back or holding you down from seeing the truth, to seeing what's really happening in the world, right? So you're left trying to figure out what type of person you want to be, right? And so we don't confront our racist parents. We don't confront our racist family members, or our racist friends, or our racist boss or coworkers, or our racist colleagues or students or whatever, because it's like, how do I confront something, right? Well, the first way is to educate yourself. Educate every little part of your brains that you can about something that doesn't have to do with whiteness. Don't listen to Taylor Swift tonight. Listen to Beyonce. Listen to the whole full album. I'm talking about Lemonade. Let's scale this back. Let's scale it back some. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just playing. I like Taylor Swift to some degree. But it's really important, again, that we are, like I said earlier, interrogating our privileges, that we are taking a step back and saying, like, as a black trans woman, that was so hard for me, because I thought I was the most unprivileged person that there is, you know what I'm saying? But my privileges lie within having a platform and being able to say, I could have got out of prison and went a totally different direction, or did something totally different with my life. I could have got out of prison and not gave a fuck about anybody. I could have came out of prison and just went back into prison, because that's usually what people do when they get out of prison, majority of the people. So that's another thing. When you go home, educate yourself about the prison industrial complex. I know that this title was basically about being brave, but the prison industrial complex is affecting a lot of people. And so, like, when I talk about the prison industrial complex, it's a whole, like, and what's so crazy is, like, the first thing that I'm sure comes to people's minds when I say prison industrial complex is actual prisons, like physical prisons. Like, in the back of your head, you have this image of a castle with bars on the windows, and, like, it's ominous, and it's like crows hawking in the back, and, all of that, you know what I'm saying? But no, the prison industrial complex is a larger system, a larger network that we wouldn't necessarily think would be a part of it. I was just talking about, last week I was speaking in Florida, and I was telling them the story of Whole Foods, and, like, how Whole Foods divested in the prison systems because people was calling their ass out. See, a lot of people don't know that a lot of these big corporations and businesses invest in prisons because it's one of the most lucrative businesses in the world. Well, in this country, because we have the highest prison population, we have the most prisons, and we have the highest recidivism rate. So that means that people, 9 times out of 10, if a person in this country gets out of prison, they're going back, right? Because there's a lack of resources, there's a lack of education, there's a lack of sustaining things to keep a person moving forward and not having to go back into survival economics. If you don't know what a survival economic is, just put the two together and kind of, figure it out for yourself. But I just think that we are lacking in the things that we know. Like, for a majority of people, they're ignorant. And I'm not saying that, and like when people hear the term ignorant, they take it offensively. When in reality, I was ignorant at one point because, I held my own isms about myself that kind of affected the people around me. So I really couldn't connect and see what I was doing wrong because that information, the way that I felt, was passed on. So a lot of us are just recycling things that have been pushed down through time. And I want y'all to stop that now. I don't want y'all leaving this room continuing a toxic cycle. So whatever that means for you, I can't tell you what to do with your life. I can't dictate what I'm not even a dictator. I don't even like that word. Well, the first part of it I do. But I'm so naughty. But I do want people to leave here trying to figure out what type of person they are. I ask myself, what can I do this week to help a trans woman? What can I do this week to help a Latinx person? What can I do this week? You know what I'm saying? And I try as much as possible. I'm not the richest person in the world. You know what I'm saying? But if I can help somebody with a phone bill, if I can help somebody with groceries, if I can help somebody with transportation to and from to wherever, or if you just need some money, I'm not here to tell you what to do. And a lot of times that's where we get, and that's why I hate the term ally, because once you start helping people, then you feel like you deserve a pat on the back. You feel like you get to tell that person how to live their life. Then you knocking at their door at 3 a.m, bothering them, asking them have they seen CNN News this morning, and it doesn't have to be like that. Operating in solidarity is just what I said, right? Interrogating your privileges. And then once you do that, how are you utilizing your privilege that you haven't done before, right? How are you saying, you know what? I'm a white cis woman. I'm gonna talk about black trans women to everybody I see today. I want to make sure at least 5 people know about the stories of 5 black trans women that have been murdered. Or let's just take it all the way back and just say, hey, y'all want to talk about the history of liberation and movement building? Let's talk about Sylvia Rivera. Let's talk about Marsha P. Johnson. Let's talk about the legendary Miss Major, right? Miss Major is still living. Many of y'all could go and talk to Miss Major. Have any of y'all heard the stories that Miss Major have given? Oh my gosh, do you know what it was like to be a black trans woman in the 50s and the 60s? That meant something to me. That even made me take a step back and realize how good I got it and how I can utilize the privileges that I have. Remember, at one point in time, it was illegal to present yourself how you felt you needed to. If it wasn't cis and straight and you weren't presenting as such, you were shipped off to jail. And to hear Ms. Major share these stories about how she would have to run and snatch a wig off and put the wig in a bag or hide the wig and do this and do that, that was something that was life-changing and also life-affirming. To know that I am not doing this in vain, that I'm not fighting this fight just so that people can continue, right? Because I know that Ms. Major has set the platform for me and for so many other black and brown trans women who are now starting to lead the movement, right? When we see, do anybody know Genesis Gutierrez? Oh my gosh, she literally went into the White House and shut that shit down. If y'all don't know her, Google her, watch the video. I commend her. It was during Pride, and she basically was telling Obama to stop deporting people. Now, see, what a lot of people don't know, Lynn, what a lot of people don't understand is that Obama deported the most people out of any other presidency. And so, I guess people thought that me as a black woman, that I'm just going to be like, Go Obama, go Obama. It was magical to see a black man in office. You know, I just don't think that was like progressive though. And I understand that there was a lot of things that prevented him from doing the work that he needed to do properly. But I feel like a lot of that wasn't just like unintentional. I just felt like, you know, he wanted to deport some people, so he deported some people. And now that that's kind of like going into where we are now, and like how we see so many people being affected by that, and like, you know, it's just so crazy that we even live in a society where people cannot live comfortably, that they can't, you know, be themselves without, you know. So when I was taking a lift here, the lady was like, "Yeah, I don't know, she didn't share the person's name, but there's a trans guy here in this state that's in a hospital because of the lack of support." So she didn't really go into details, but I just, in my head, kind of, you know, presumed what she was talking about. And like with so many, you know, trans and non-conforming people, that when we don't have that love and support, that we don't feel that there's hope. And for a lot of us who choose to end our lives, themselves, you know, as a person, why I include myself in that, because at one point in time that I was also suicidal, and after so many suicide attempts, I just started to like have people that came into my life that kind of just switched that around for me. So luckily there were people who came into my life and made me feel validated in certain ways, because when you don't see a space for you, it's hard for you to want to fit in. It's hard for you to feel like you are a part of something. And, you know, I almost cried in the back of that seat because she said she wanted to come, and, you know, it would have been great for him to come. And that just made me think about so many other people like us who are struggling day to day. And that's why I'm asking y'all, like, how are y'all, like, uplifting somebody? How are y'all making somebody feel good? Like, I'm sure that wherever you came from, wherever you're going, that there's somebody going through the same thing. And that is how much of your life, 10 minutes, 1 minute of your life, to make somebody feel validated, to make somebody feel seen, to make somebody feel affirmed. Like, that's life-changing. So use that. Use your gifts. Use your privileges to make somebody feel validated. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. I'm sure as humans, we know how to make other people feel affirmed and validated, right? We know how to make people feel seen. So just take that energy and just keep it going wherever you're going. I'm going over. I love talking. Like, I can do this all day long. But just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. When you go home or when you go to your room, before you go to the dance party, just think about, even if you write it down, I tell people, like, write stuff down. Like, on a piece of paper, put your name up there, right? And just list the ways in which you feel like you have a privilege. And then you put a list, then you compare that list to any other person, and you be like, you know what? Maybe I can talk about these people on my social media or in my class or at my work, right? Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's scary, but for a lot of us, we don't have a choice. I tell people all the time, like, if you're afraid of confrontation and you have a privilege, what about a person who's afraid of confrontation and have to deal with it? Like, when I walk outside of my house, I don't get to choose how somebody see me or how somebody's gonna approach me, or the questions that they're gonna ask me, or the aggressiveness that they're gonna bestow upon me or any other person like me. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to think about the ways in which you are navigating through society easier than somebody that's probably not. Because that's important. And like I said, for me as a black trans woman, I do it every day. So I'm sure that y'all can just do it. Just do it, damn. Oh, is Nike here? Look, I'm not tagging them or anything. I'm not promoting. But Nike, if you're here and you hear me, Nike isn't here. Nike isn't here. I'm just playing. But yeah, I want to thank the organizers. Thank you, Ben. And the University of Vermont. If y'all want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, so I'm encouraging you to pull out your devices because I'm going to be starting some new projects in 2019, and I'm going to be needing people to like reach out to me, or I'm going to be reaching out to people. I'm going to be making posts. I'm looking for scholars to be a part of this project. The project is called More Than Sisters, emphasis on sisters, CISTERS. I know that was clever, wasn't it? And it's just basically a trans perspective on like bridge building to cis communities and like where is the lack of communication, especially with trans and cis women, and like really bringing that to the forefront, you know, because I tell people all the time, cis women can be one of the biggest perpetrators of violence towards trans women. If baby, I done had some cis women say some very nasty things, and we don't have room for TERFs in our world or in this movement. So yeah, we have to scoot them to the side, you know. For TERF, you wear cleats. So y'all didn't catch that one. Don't take my stuff, y'all. If I see it on Twitter or Facebook, I'm like, they stole that from me. But yes, I'm on social media, so I do not go by CeCe McDonald on Facebook. If you do see a page that says CeCe McDonald, that is an associate. That isn't me specifically. So you can find me on Facebook at Krishan McDonald or Honeybee. That would be HONEEBEA. That is my stripper name. Y'all like, wait, really? No, I'm not a stripper yet. But I'll be the first movement building stripper that you know. I'll probably be stripping at the next conference. Y'all like, oh my gosh. I'm on Twitter at HONEEBEA1. I'm on Instagram at secret_life_of_BEA. I know that was long. And cute story behind that. I chose that. So when I first got out of prison, and like, you know, I was setting up all of my my social medias back up, and one of my favorite books was The Secret Life of Bees. And like for each chapter, so if anybody ever read the book, you would know that before each chapter, they would have like some information about bees and like how the community of bees work. And like, it was just really detailed. Like, and not like in a National Geographic way, like in a very loving and like community. Like that's what I got from it, community, which is kind of what the story is about. If you haven't read The Secret Life of Bees, please do, or you can just watch the movie. I mean, it's good, but it's not a book. But I definitely, you know, think that this is time for community building. This is the time for us to really start banding together to like check ourselves, interrogate our privileges. Oh, you know what I forgot to say? Decolonize your minds around this systematic patriarchal systems that's constantly bringing us down. Gosh, how could I forget that? Decolonize your mind, please. Like, that's so important. Like, we cannot go into a movement with the same rhetoric, you know, and bullshit that we, you know, let it go. Let it go. You ever heard the song Bag Lady by Erykah Badu? Girl, if you got too many bags, the bus driver is not picking you up. If you don't catch that metaphor, I don't know how you gonna not. But basically, let go some of that luggage. Let go some of that shit that's holding you down so you can move a little quicker, so you can, you know, get around a little faster and get further, right? So we got to let go some of the shit that we have internalized, that we have been taught. Like, literally, I just was like, from K to 12th grade, I'm just going to erase all of that, you know, knowledge that was given to me, and I'm going to start over. I want to see the truth. I want to learn the truth in the real, right? And like, that has brought me here. That's what led me into being a better advocate and being a person that's wanting to operate in solidarity in the best way. I have to let go of a lot of the shit that I've internalized so that I can be a better person for my community. And so that's what I'm just asking y'all. But again, thank y'all. I love y'all. I hope y'all have fun at the dance party. I don't know if I'm going to be there. I don't know. But I do appreciate y'all coming in. I do appreciate y'all taking time to listen to me. Again, y'all can check out Free CeCe. You can go to the website. It's freececedocumentary.net. But I think I seen a Free CeCe post in here. Did y'all show it here?
Last night, yeah.
Oh my gosh! Did y'all watch it? Wasn't it just a story of the world? I mean. I'm so silly. But thank you. Right. I love that people get to see that movie because a lot of people think that it's just about me, but it's like me and the story of so many other people. And hopefully in the future we'll be seeing some more stuff like that. I'm not gonna say what it may be. Maybe CeCe got some new projects coming in. But I'm definitely going to be continuing Free CeCe in some way. And so, yeah, I keep going on because I like talking. Benjamin, you better come up here because I'm going to keep talking. It's going to be 9 o'clock. Y'all be like, come on now. We got to go. But thank y'all again. Thank y'all so much. I love y'all. Where's the tequila?
So thank you, CeCe, and thank all of you for being here. We have just a few minutes for some Q&A. So Katie's going to be our mic runner. So folks, just if you're willing and able to raise a hand and let her know you have a question. We have a few minutes, so we're going to have to keep it tight. But if anybody has anything you're wondering.
Okay, anybody, and it don't have to be about what we just talked about. It can be about my favorite food, just pizza. I think there's a question over here. Yes. Oh.
Okay. So what city are you based out of? Like, where's your home city?
I'm from Minneapolis. As y'all know, if y'all seen Free CeCe, that's where everything went down. I'm originally from Chicago. Yes, Chi-Town. I've been living in Minnesota in August. It'll be 12 years, which is crazy because I'm only 19. I'm based out, so that's where the project is starting. More Than Sisters is going to be based out of Minneapolis and covering the Midwest, and then it's going to be a national project. And like people sleep on Minneapolis. I mean, I learned so much about Minneapolis that is crazy. I didn't even know Prince was from Minneapolis. Yes. The night that Prince died, like all of Minneapolis was outside. Like it was like the largest dance party. Everybody came outside. Everybody was playing Prince music. But there are a lot of people that came from a lot of these like big actors and actresses. Like they came from Minneapolis. It's heavily slept on. So yeah, whenever you get time, you can come there. I would recommend warmer times. It's very cold there in the winter. Last year we got to like 60 below, which is the same temperature as Mars. So it was Mars in Minneapolis. It's a lot of Scandinavian culture if you like Scandinavians. And Vikings and things of that such. We have 10,000 lakes. No, please come. Come in the summer. But in the wintertime, it's very pretty. Like when you see those like very cheesy like winter postcards, that's what it looked like. Very cheesy, very cute. Yes.
So I know with the prison industrial complex, the real response is shut it down.
Yes.
But for people who are currently incarcerated who are transgender, what are things that prisons should be doing differently in order to properly serve them?
Shut down. But
I know.
I don't know. I feel like first acknowledging these people as humans, right? Like when a person is incarcerated, even for a majority of society, it's like we put these people in prisons and then we act like they are gone, right? And like they're not gonna at one point come back into society, or or we treat them less than human. And like from my experiences being in prison, it's like imagine living in the darkest, dankest basement, with bars for like a year or two, like it's really like dehumanizing. I don't know, like as far as like for trans people, like I know that there are advancements in like trans people being able to, because at first, like if you weren't prescribed any type of HTR or you couldn't get it when you were in prison. Like you already had to have been on a hormone plan, and so now they changed it to where that you can in prison transition. So if you tell, which is like prison is just really weird because it's like everything on the outside world just in a building, like in one large building. So you have a therapist there, and you have to talk to the therapist, and then you have the infirmary, because I would never call it a hospital. It's really crazy, but I just think for the most part, and like that's why I'm encouraging y'all. Like if y'all have like letter writing nights in your at your schools or at your whatevers, wherever you're going to, if you don't have them, start doing them. Like I'm asking you, if you don't have a letter writing night, then create one. And the best way to do that is, okay, so I'm affiliated with Black and Pink. I don't know if anybody know about Black and Pink. Black and Pink is a wonderful organization that, oh, hey, little baby. What's wrong, little babe? She like, come on, girl, get me out of here. But yes, Black and Pink is like this really wonderful organization that that supports incarcerated people. They have like I don't know if it's weekly or monthly, but they have a newsletter that they send to people in prisons if they sign up. But if you go to the Black and Pink website, because every year around this time of year, they host letter writing nights. I hosted one last year at this cafe that I was working at, and I plan to do so this year again. So I mean, and they give you all the materials. They give you the little cards. They give you the information. All you would have to do is just have people over to where you are, wherever the space that you want to hold, and then y'all just write nice, affirming things. Like, you don't have to go into detail. Like, yeah, today I wore some green pants, and I went and got me a Subway sandwich. I didn't really like it because they put too much lettuce on it, but, like, you ain't got to do all of that. Just be like, hey, happy holidays, from somebody on the outside. We just want to let you know that we see you, that we know that you exist, that you do have a wonderful holiday, because like a lot of people don't know, like those little things really, like what I was saying earlier, like that 1 or 10 minutes out of your life to literally make somebody feel validated, to make them feel loved, to be seen. Like we all fuck up, you know what I'm saying? Like we have people who are killing and stealing right in front of our faces, President Cheeto. And so like we can't like expect, and also like, again, with fear-mongering, like there is literally the smallest portion of people in prisons are in there for like violent crimes or things of that nature. So like majority of people who are in prison are literally in there because of very petty drug-based crimes or whatever. Like a couple of years back, there was a black man sentenced to life in prison for stealing a Snickers bar. And this is before California had removed the 3 strikes law. So when he got caught on his 3rd strike, for stealing a candy bar, he was sentenced to prison for life, which is crazy. And so, like, we just have to let people know that they are validated in those ways. And what better time than in the holiday season, where people usually are with family and friends, and like, now they're like separated. And like during those times, you don't even get visits during holidays. And so like, that was a tough day for me. It was a tough day for all of the people at the prison I was at, but we were like our own little, well, actually, you know what? What's crazy actually is Also, on the holidays, you can't come out of your cell. You're in your cell all day, except for lunch because staff is so low. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we don't want the prison to be overrun with, incarcerated people. Oh, that would be so great. But yeah, like go on Black and Pink's website, or you can Google Black and Pink. Look for their letter writing event package. I will also be posting it on my social media, which is why I gave it to you, so y'all can have this information and so much other information that some of y'all might need or utilize to y'all benefits. Things like grants and some things that y'all might need like that. But yeah, I just think that for trans people, and so Black and Pink is specifically for like LGBTQI communities. If you want to help, volunteer with Black and Pink. Like that's one of the organizations that have been like leading towards like abolishing the PIC and like bringing that to the forefront. There are definitely other organizations based off of your location. Like in Atlanta, you have SNAPCO. In California, there is I forgot, but just Google. That's what Google is for. Like y'all on y'all phones like 20 hours a day. Google Black and Pink. But I believe that their actual web address is blackandpink.org. And then request for the package. You could like have a holiday party, right? Can you imagine just having all of your friends over and you're just like, okay, now like let's make other people feel validated. Like that would feel so good. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, I don't know any other ways because like with systems of bureaucracy, it's really hard. Like I feel like the only reasons that I was getting that I was getting is because I had community backing me up and supporting me like that. But a lot of people don't have that support. So it's hard. And like if I didn't have, now in the state of Minnesota, they have to provide you with your medication, but they were like prolonging it for me for whatever reasons. And like when I was telling my friends, like they was like, oh no, fuck that. Like they were like outside of the prison, they was coming every day, they was calling up there every day, to the point where the prison was like, here girl, here, take your medicine. Can you please tell y'all friends stop calling us? And I'm like, nope. They're gonna keep calling y'all till y'all let me up out this bitch. But yeah, like it's really important that because with systems that's so tight-knit, the only ways we can change them is through our politics, which is really shitty, and through our community action. And it's not just for trans people, it's for all the people incarcerated, because when you are in prison, you don't have an identity, you have a number, and you're treated all the same, you know what I'm saying? Trans people are treated shittier, so yeah. And so like, in your state, like research things like, are trans people automatically sent to solitary confinement? Because for a lot of states, even though it's against the law, and a lot of states are trying to banish solitary confinement, a lot of trans and non-conforming people are automatically put into solitary confinement. And I was in solitary confinement for like 4 months. Well, y'all seen it in the movie, but like, and that is taxing on you emotionally, spiritually, physically. Like it's really hard, and like just calling out stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, and doing research and like bringing it to your legislators or your, whoever is in your community that can like bring that to, on a political scale. But yeah.
Just gonna grab one more question up in the front here.
Hey, girl.
Hey.
What are some ways you maintain self-care and like preserve your mental health like through your service?
Like I said, I highly advocate, marijuana. I don't care how you ingest it, smoke it, stomp it, press it, weave it, whatever. But that's mine, so I'm not saying anybody else have to do it. I just think that it's really funny that, people are just like still demonizing like marijuana. Is like, girl, like your cousin just stole a bottle of Oxycontins from your medicine cabinet, girl, and you worry about me smoking some weed, girl. But yes, not, you know, if she's taking the Oxycontins, then that's good for her. But, you know, I'm just saying, like, it's just really funny that people still are, like, really uptight about marijuana. Like, smoke a little joint. Like, get loose. Feel yourself. Eat an edible or something. Ain't it legal here now? Where we going after this? Ooh-wee. But yeah, I not only do I smoke weed recreationally, but it also helps with my migraines. Sometimes I have body pains because I was in a couple of accidents that kind of like messed up my back, messed up my hips. So I'm just like, sometimes I'm in a lot of body pain. So I do that to help alleviate the pain. But I like to meditate. My friend just invited me to start doing yoga, so I'm going to start doing that on the weekends with him. I like to draw. I also I'm like Tina Belcher. I like fan fiction. I'm now working on my Marvel. I'm going to work for Marvel one day. My Marvel superhero, their name is the Eunuch. And I'm going to be like writing it based off of like the storyline. So I have to do a little bit more, but I want to go in depth so that it can make sense. Like not just some random character that's just like, hey y'all, I'm the Eunuch. I was living next door, but you know, I wasn't saying anything. I'm here now. And basically it's gonna be a deeper story about like body autonomy and like self-preservation, self-care, but also like kicking ass and like, you know, being a superhero. So I'm working on that. Also, one of my friends, this is crazy. So I know a lot of people. And have anybody been watching Pose? If you haven't watched Pose, oh my gosh, like, what? Y'all been robbing yourselves of good entertainment. Y'all like still stuck on Harry Potter. Y'all like, I wish he had come out with another movie. Like, let it go, sis. No more Harry Potter for you. But yeah, so the same person that directed Pose does American Horror Story, which is one of my favorite stories. If you're not watching this season, oh my gosh. And so I was just theorizing about there being a secret coven of like trans witches that nobody knew about. And so my friend was like, pitch it to Ryan. I'm like, girl, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me right now. But I'm like really into fan fiction and stuff like that. So that helps me like kind of like shape the world that I want. You know what I'm saying? Like how I would see it, like how I would see us taking over or how I would see us play a bigger part in like saving it or whatever, you know, destroying it. I wouldn't mind destroying the world. Like, see y'all, gotta go. Everybody gotta go. If I can't be here, none of y'all can. I like to, music is one of my big saves. Like Beyonce is my god. Beyonce has saved me a number of times, but I just love music. I love classical music because it's very relaxing. I'll put on my good aromatherapy and listen to some good, you know, piano play. Oh, just thinking about it now. With a good blunt, oh my gosh, and a nice little wine, Pinot Grigio. Oh, talk about a weekend. This is weird. I like the bumfuckery of like the holidays, like the very cheesy white Christmas aesthetic. Like that makes my life. I don't know why. I'm just like, oh, look at this white Christmas. It's so very white. Probably why I like Minnesota, because it's like in the winter, it's the whitest place you could ever be. I'm saying that literally, like white snow, white people. It's just like I feel like I'm in a Lifetime movie. Like, what is this? Only people that watch Lifetime know what I'm talking about. What else do I like? Did I say reading? Oh, this is the best part. So I would call myself a not give a fucker. I'm a person that's just, sometimes we internalize a lot of other people's bullshit. And so we leave spaces feeling very nasty. You know what I'm saying? Like, why did I let that person get me in the wrong mood? And so, I have adapted this thing where I kind of uplift the angry black woman narrative. I feel like as a black woman, I should be as angry as I fucking want to be. Don't come tell me smile a little because I might slap you. You know what I'm saying? I hate for somebody to come up to me and be like, just smile. Just mind your motherfucking business. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me to smile. You don't know, my dog could have just died or something. You gonna come up to me and tell me to just smile. Mind your business. Just go away. You know what I'm saying? How many of y'all telling a white cis man just smile? Maybe he won't shoot up Las Vegas or bomb a school or something. Shit. That was real. That sat on y'all real hard. 5 elephants. Y'all was not ready for that. But yes, I'm very expressive, as y'all can see. I don't bite my tongue. And I feel like a lot of people do that. You know what I'm saying? So don't bite your tongue. Don't feel like you have to, settle. You know what I'm saying? Don't feel like you have to kind of dim down who you are to appease other people, right? I'm anti-respectability politics, so that's why I have this bright ass green hair, because I want to go to an Ivy League school and go in there and shut they shit down with my neon green. Hey boo, I've been looking at you all day. Look, twinsies. Yes, twinsies. I just feel like when a person is uninhibited to who they are and to their feelings, then you leave that space with a lot of stress. Going back to Erykah Badu and the bag lady, one of those or many of those bags is the internalized stress that we have carried on from other people from time to time. And so we're just carrying it around with us and we're holding on to it. But at some point you gotta let it go. And letting it go could be just telling somebody how it is. You know that one person you have been letting go with a lot of bullshit? Well, tomorrow, don't let them. See how much more your life, you just that's all it took? I feel like I'm a million pounds lighter. Wow. All I had to do was curse somebody out? Literally. That 1 to 10 minutes I was talking about, baby, it works wonders, I'm telling you. And it doesn't necessarily have to be look, bitch, I told you about what you was talking about. It could be hey, friend, depending on how you want to come to the person. Me, I'm very much so, bitch, didn't I tell you not to say that to me? That's me. You know what I'm saying? I'm very uninhibited. I'm very real. I make sure that people don't take me for a joke, because sometimes I feel like people take me for a joke and I don't see myself as a parody. So, I want people to take me serious. And a lot of that, and being embedded in our anger. A lot of times people tell us not to be angry, or it's not ladylike to be angry, or whatever. Be angry. Be as fucking angry as you need to be. Be as angry as you need to be. I hope that anger just comes out of you like lava or diarrhea or whatever. Whatever. However the anger needs to come out of you. Let it out. And don't hold back. Do not hold yourself back. And don't let other people hold you back, right? And that's what I had to do. That was another thing. I'm a Gemini. And we're and so we're our identities are polar, right? We can be very extremely loving, or we can be the spawn of Satan themselves. And so just depending on, which day and which mood you call us on. But I just feel because I care for people in such a way, I don't like to sugarcoat things. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that friend that's going to tell you the dress is cute when the dress is ugly. Girl, take that dress off. Go find your receipt. Go take it back. And that's how I am with everything. So if I'm like, girl, that was transphobic, or you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be real with people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be willing to put yourself out there. And sometimes being vulnerable is like self-care for me. Like, because I'm the very social, antisocial person. And so, like, when I am with people, I feel a lot more comfortable being vulnerable now, because it's like, that's how people learn. That's how people learn about themselves. That's how people learn about the people in their communities. It's like, but only share what you want to share. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's for all of y'all. Like, I'm not telling y'all go out here and spill y'all guts if it's going to traumatize you or re-traumatize you. Like, no. Like, share things that you're comfortable with sharing. Like, it's okay to just, like, be in community and, like, have people around you. And sometimes that can be hard, but it's important that we do have room for vulnerability, even in the movement, right? Like, we have to be vulnerable. We have to learn to not tolerate. And I tell that to people all the time. We can't go around just tolerating people. We have to be willing to understand them. Understanding equates to love at some point, because you're not just like, oh, I'm gonna be around this person just so I can learn, or just so I can, whatever, be an ally. Because that's not genuinely learning or caring for a person. When you are vulnerable, then a person sees you as you and not like as this archetype. So I have lots more other things that I do for self-care. I don't want to get into all of them. One of them is sex. Baby. I'm gonna get on my POF as soon as I get out this room. Now let me stop. Y'all don't try to look for me on POF, because see, look. But yes, was that the last question?
It was. Yeah, so let's give it up for CeCe one last
Thank
time. That was the last
y'all.
question.